Welcome back everyone to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. Today we've got 3 stories. In the first one, some entitled parents at a mall try to force their way into an obviously occupied baby room, and then even call security. In the second one, OP catches a kid next door peering into OP's window with binoculars, and as you might have guessed, the parents could care less. And the last one is about OP's entitled dad that wants OP to sell their inheritance house and give half of the money away to his ex-wife. So let's get right into these, and subscribe if you want to see more daily Reddit stories. This one's titled, Locked Baby Room? Call the Security. It was a day out with my family of 4, with my youngest being a breastfed 4-month-old. We were heading to have our lunch at the mall while my baby was still asleep. As luck would have it, baby wakes up in the middle of lunch, so it's feeding time. So me and the baby head to the mall's baby room. The one that's nearest has only one room. I didn't have to wait long, but I definitely need some time to feed my fussy baby. So in I go and lock the door to the baby room. I had a hard time nursing my baby as she just woke up. Cranky, hungry, and a baby. Bad combination. Once I had settled down and started to nurse my baby, I heard a woman outside the room. From the semi-transparent door, I saw a silhouette of a stroller. I thought to myself, no big deal, she can find another room at another part of this level. Oh boy, was I wrong to think that they would just leave. The door was pushed hard and loud enough to jolt my baby from latching on me. The baby started crying. Then I heard the entitled mom talking to her male companion, I would assume her husband, saying that the door is locked. I can hear every word they said, but they could not hear my baby's cry. After they realized the door is locked, they knocked on the door. My baby is crying, so I didn't bother to call out to them that I'm using the room. Big mistake. The entitled mom and her husband started discussing about the locked door. I did not bother to listen in as I was trying to get my baby to calm down so that she'll latch on and nurse. Then I heard the husband mumble a jumble of numbers to the entitled mom. I froze when he finished as I realized that those numbers sounded like a phone number. That entitled mom is calling the number for assistance that is plastered in front of the baby's room. Gosh, I was so pissed. I shouted out towards the door that I'm using the room. My baby got upset the moment my voice left my mouth as my tone and volume was not pleasant, but they are deaf towards any sound that is coming from inside the room. She proceeded to speak on the phone saying that the door is locked and there is no response from inside the room, and she proceeded to give out our location. She wanted whoever that was on the other side of the phone to come over to unlock the door for them. Cut the story short, security came, and I spoke to him whilst comforting my baby from the inside of the room, while he was on the other side of the door. He quickly understood the situation and let me be. But the entitled mom seemed to be in her own world as the security guard had to re-explain to her that someone is using the room. I overheard the security guard repeat what he said twice in order to get the entitled mom to go to another baby room. After I was done, I kept my eyes peeled for any couple with a stroller as if I could have identified them. Yeah, since the door is locked, certainly that must mean there's some kind of problem. Definitely not the fact that it's just occupied. I think I'm just gonna try to force my way in. And then I'm just gonna call security and completely ignore the person yelling from inside that it's occupied, along with an obviously crying baby. And this one's titled, The Kid Next Door Using Binoculars to Peer Into My Window Was Picked Up by My Security Camera. Parent Freaks Out That I'm Using Cameras. Backstory. My neighbors have 3 boys, all under the age of 7. In my first encounter with the mom, she promptly tells me, not asks, tells me, that her kids wander. I naively thought that meant there might be the odd Rogue Ball episode or something, so I don't protest at the time. Our yards are unfenced, and we share a driveway. Oh boy, was I wrong. My yard, back deck, front garden, and even the inside of my house were seen as an extension of their space. The boys would even have sword fight tournaments on my back deck, off my kitchen. The parents would literally do nothing. I was put in a position many times to ask for more privacy, as it was affecting my work and a general sense of well-being as I'm a very private person. It took some push, but finally things got a bit better. But they still wander, however, to a level that I'm not willing to cause drama over. This past early winter, I decided to put in security cameras. I live alone in a not-so-great area and I wanted some peace of mind. I also wanted to document encroachment in case it got bad again. In that time, the cameras have picked up a lot of encroachment from kids, but I did not raise the issue because the relationship with parents is peaceful, and I wanted to keep it that way. Fast forward to yesterday, my camera picks up a clip of the middle kid peering into my window with a pair of binoculars. I send the clip to the parents, explaining one of my cameras picked it up, and that I am not comfortable with this behavior. It is inappropriate and an invasion of my privacy. They send a note back saying, he was only trying to see if I was home so he could say hello. Then insisted on knowing more about my security cameras, what they can see, and if they picked up the kids playing in their yard. I explained that they don't, as they only pick up motion in my yard. But if the kids are in my yard, which they are, a lot, they are recorded. The parents are insisting I take the cameras down. The lesson is, entitled parents raise entitled children. I am frightened to see what kind of adults these kids will turn into. Who knows if I'll be here long enough to find out. Edit, I should have mentioned in the backstory that I would love a fence, and we'll get one someday, but I live in an area that wood is twice the price, and tradespeople are taking bribes for bookings. It's not really possible right now, but someday. The parents are not only entitled, but also deadbeats, so I'd be paying for it on my own. I did the one thing I had control of, and that's installing cameras. Yeah, I really feel for this OP when they mention that it's affecting their sense of well-being. I can just imagine, you have this home, a nice private space where you can enjoy yourself, and then all of a sudden you have these kids right outside your window every day and even on your deck having sword fights. And then if that wasn't already an encroachment of your personal space, one day you realize a kid is peering into your window with binoculars. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't even the first time that happened either, and the parents just tried to play it off like it was no big deal. But oh no, OP's the bad one in this situation for having cameras on their own property. When those parents told OP that their kids tend to wander, what they were really saying is, hey, just a warning, we let our kids do whatever they want, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. This one's called, Sell Your Inheritance House and Give Half Away to My Ex. A little backstory, my dad used to flip houses for a living. Back around 2010, he got the bright idea that he was going to eventually marry the woman he cheated on my mom with back in 2000. His health wasn't the greatest back then, so instead of flipping some of the houses, he turned them into rentals. In 2012, he also decided that he was going to put my name on the title for one of the rental properties, so that after he married, if he died, the house and income would go to me. I signed all the paperwork, and the house is technically mine. Now to last month, Dad calls me up from jail and says, hey, remember that house on X Street? We've got a realtor interested in buying it. Are you interested in going ahead and selling? We'll split the profit, and you can use a part of my half to pay for my funeral. My thought was, cool, get my inheritance early, and the stress that comes with planning a funeral is taken care of. So the deal is made, and he calls me again and tells me to have the lawyer cut 2 checks, each for half the sale amount. I'm very confused, so I ask why. His response is, I need you to take half for yourself, then on the other half, take X amount and save it for my funeral, and give the remainder to Jane. That way, you'll only have to pay half the amount in taxes. It doesn't work this way. Jane, as I found out shortly before this, divorced my dad 3 years ago, shortly after he went to jail. He won't get out for another 5 years, if ever. My confusion triples, so I asked why I'd be giving her anything, as she lives in the $500K house he bought, and stupidly put it in her name. He gets into a huge huff and tells me to just do what he says, and to not ask stupid questions, or else he'll stop the deal. Which he can't, we close tomorrow. He's been calling and emailing me daily to ask about closing so that Jane can come collect her check. I've told him each day that she won't have a check because the lawyer won't split the payment like that. It's my hope that neither of them listen to me and she shows up expecting me to give her anything. The most she'll get is my 2 cents about what a piece of crap she is, and that if she wants anything from this sale, I want the money she's been collecting in rent for the last 3 years. After talking with my brother, I've decided that I'm still going to go ahead and pay for his funeral. I'm also going to take his half after funeral costs and set it aside in a separate savings account, so that if he needs anything while in jail, he can ask me for it. Then if he gets out, I'll give him the remaining amount. I know he's going to get mad, but the level of how much I care is very slim. What's the worst he can do? Not call me? And then OP adds some updates to give some more details on the situation. He says, when I asked why Jane doesn't just sell the house and buy something more in her range, his argument was that she can't get what that house is worth, so why sell it? I argued that's the job of the real estate agent, not Jane. We went back and forth until I gave him a choice. He could let me pay for the funeral, then put the rest into a savings account, and give him the money whenever he needed it until his release. Then he gets the remaining amount. Option 2 was to give Jane the money minus the taxes and his funeral, and neither of them contact me again. I'm sad to say he chose to give her the money. I've also seen comments saying, well, it's your dad's money, why do you get to decide? It's really not his money until I decide to give it to him, which I am. I'm the one that owns the house, I'm the one doing the deal, and I'm the one that's on the hook for taxes. Dad and Jane getting anything out of this is more of me attempting to be a good son. I could have 100% said screw it and keep all of it. But then I'd have to not only deal with them, as Jane somehow got my number and address yesterday, but I'd also have to deal with myself. I can be cold-hearted at times, but even I'm not that bad. So a final update. Jane did show up to the closing, despite being told not to. I looked her dead in the face and asked, why are you here, Jane? In a very not pleasant tone. I went through the closing, and as we were leaving, she started talking to us, telling me about how she had to pump X amount of money into that house recently, how she's getting sued for a supposed dog bite on another property my dad had a land contract on, how dad said I'll be giving her a little something from this sale, all while never once asking me how I'm feeling. I'm recovering from a broken hip back from February. And then she dropped a bomb on me. It turns out that after my dad got arrested and she'd have to be the one to take care of the bills, she dropped the insurance on the house. I looked at her and asked her to repeat that and was told that she couldn't get insurance on it because the house was in disrepair. Like, what the hell? I know for a fact the house had insurance prior to dad getting arrested. He's not actually that stupid. Had anything happened on that property prior to today, I would have been liable because of her. This info alone sealed her fate with me. She will not get a penny out of me, and my entire family agrees with me. Not to mention every one of you guys on Reddit. I'm still going ahead with the funeral plans and the idea of giving dad his remaining should he get out. My brother and aunt are both of the opinion that he won't be getting out. I will put money on his commissary each month out of it, and if he starts going off on me, I'm just going to block the prison's number and deactivate Google Voice, which is how he's been talking to me. And that's all for today, everyone. Thank you for watching, all you beautiful people. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.